the last 10 years, thanks to digital cameras, more and more people are making their own movies. Showing them on the web or in local theaters, filmmaking has turned into the new garage band. Framelines puts a spotlight on the people who make movies on every level.
Framelines is brought to you in part by Zabo Lights, the new LED lights for your production. Tape Central, providing your media needs. Production Partners Media, affordable media solutions. And grants from the Greater Columbus Arts Council.
The 48-Hour Film Project is an international contest where filmmakers are given just 2 days to write, produce, and edit a short film. Less than a week later, these films are screened at a movie theater and judged. Framelines followed 3 teams on their journey to meet the deadline. Teams of filmmakers are given a line of dialogue, a prop, and a character that have to be used. Peter John Ross sits down with team leaders of 3 teams to talk about their experiences with the 48-Hour Film Project Columbus.
So let's talk about what drew you to doing the 48-Hour Film Project this year?
Well, the 48 for me is the time to be really experimental because I'm a meticulous planner in all of my projects that I do on my own. And with the 48, you don't really get any time to plan except what you plan what you think you might be able to do. And then when the time comes, you have to go with it. And you have to turn something in at the very end instead of just saying, well, it's not good enough, I'll just ignore it and put it in the closet and never look at it again.
You wouldn't do that.
Yes, I would.
Well, for me, I feel like the 48 is an opportunity to work with a team and get something done with that team. And the exciting part is to work with I mean, you could either work with a very established team who've done a lot of things before, and you know you're going to have a certain amount of input in the certain areas and things like that, and then you'll come out with typically you'd imagine a good project, you know, or you've got the opportunity of working with people who are newer to it as well, and you can kind of have a collaborative effort, which is a different kind of enjoyment that you can get out of it too. Something that drew me very much to Kelly's team was definitely the fun of being able to really collaborate and kind of see the excitement also of a new team director getting her own project going.
I was in the 48 last year as an actress, a very small part in a film, and I loved it. And not originally did I want to direct, but then in talking about it, I realized I did want to direct too. And it was the newness and the not know. I wanted to learn, and thank goodness we had Louis, who I got to learn from.
I had gotten into a conversation with Mike McNeese, local DB and cameraman extraordinaire. We were just kind of talking, and he was just kind of happened to say, you know, I'd kind of be interested in doing the 48. And I'm like, really? It seemed, you know, like a really exciting prospect. So I basically said, yeah, if that's what you want to do, let's form a team.
So what were you able to do to prepare before the actual 48-hour time period of the contest? What were you able to do to prepare?
Well, with my project, I was trying something very complex. I was going to shoot on 35mm film, and then because there isn't a place to have movie film developed anywhere near us, I had to find a way to develop it myself. And I was going to use coffee and laundry detergent to develop the film. It's called Caffeinol, and it pretty much makes anything into a black and white negative. And I had to be able to practice that, and I had to make sure that it actually worked. And I started doing test shoots about 6 months before the 48, and loading film into still camera spools and taking pictures and making sure that, each individual can was good, and they all tested good, and so I was ready to go. And then that's just making sure the film worked. I had to assemble the team, and I like to surround myself with people who I know what they're doing, especially working with film. So I had Matt Meindl and Sean McHenry, who both work with film.
So you had success in your trial runs.
In the trial runs, everything worked. It wasn't perfect, but I was pretty confident.
Right.
And I knew for a fact that it was going to work about a week before the 48. My plan was if I could be done shooting by 1 a.m., that would give me plenty of time to do a digital intermediary instead of a telecine, where I took still frames of each frame with a digital camera, but I didn't get done until like 6 in the morning processing the film, so I just videotaped all the film. And then that's when I discovered that I didn't have, or had some problems with the film. And it took me a long time to figure out what actually went wrong. And it was actually 2 weeks ago is when I really decided what actually happened. It wasn't, it exposed fine, but it was just a contrast ratio problem where the room was very dark and all of the actors were very dark, and we just didn't have the lighting separation that we needed for it.
One of the things that we always try to be was very, very organized with getting our crew together. We had several of the same people that we worked with on the 2009 we brought in, plus some new people and actors and that sort of thing. But we always tried to get as much of our crew and a pool of actors that we could have pulled from, depending on whatever theme it was that we pulled. That way we were able to kind of know that we had the production end was in place. We had the talent there, and they could be put into whatever roles, depending on the story that we were going to create.
But I mean, what did you guys do to prepare your team before the actual contest weekend?
My friend Jason Blanton and I had decided we had seen last year's, we wanted to do this. So it was just he and I. We knew we needed a team. We didn't have anybody. But then my friend Luann Racher, who's an actress, and I know her from improv, I said, she's funny. I know she can do this. So we had her. So basically we were a team of 3. We run into Louis, and he says, are you doing a team for the 48? And I said, yeah. And he's, would you be interested? I'd like to be on your team. I'm like, yes, I would love to. We would love to have you. We formed a Facebook group, and we communicated through Facebook, and we would throw up ideas about what's a possible look. Obviously everybody knows you can't write anything. You don't know what your genre is or anything, but we were throwing out locations and things. And I think a lot of teams obviously probably do it a similar way.
With the Facebook group, we started to think about, well, what are all the genres that we could get, and what would we really like to get?
Oh, yes. I knew that I could write comedy, or I thought I could. And, I had seen Louis. I knew he could. So we kind of knew, I knew if we got horror or drama, we could figure it out, but I really didn't want it. And so
what did you draw then?
Mockumentary.
Yeah. Mockumentary is a pretty forgiving genre as well.
Yeah.
I mean, out of all the genres, you don't have to do sort of like a noir style or something like that. You can do fast and loose.
So what did you end up drawing?
I ended up drawing suspense thriller, which is the same thing that I had the previous year.
Oh, you're kidding.
No.
What was your initial reaction?
I don't want to do this again. We were really hoping for silent film because we're shooting on film, and that would save us a lot of time.
Yes.
We ended up pulling the horror genre. We just kind of dove in. I mean, if we had gotten Western or musical, we were, prepared to do whatever. I mean, that's half of the fun of the 48, because you just don't, know what kind of a movie you're going to make.
So what was the writing process like for you then? A lot of the teams, they either 1 or 2 people write it, or they start as a group writing and goes down to 2 people, or it's just straight madness with the group writing. How was it for you?
We just brainstormed. So we just sat in a big circle, and we had a whiteboard, and we just started throwing out ideas. Luann had this crazy idea telling us this story about her husband who snores and how crazy it is, and she would do this impression, and basically it killed us every time. We just broke up laughing every time. So we knew we wanted to do something with that.
The ideas evolved a little bit in so far as like a medical test. We thought, well, what are we going to be doing the mockumentary on?
Right.
And then it kind of went to, well, maybe we do a drug trial, and then we kind of merged the ideas, which was part of what made it so much fun, was that everybody really got to brainstorm and put ideas in, but then when it came to actually writing the script, it was those who actually did the writing, you know, Christy, yourself, and Luann, who actually just took the ideas and really kind of molded it together into the script. Actually, I was one of very few people invited to practice medicine at RIM, which is a very distinct pleasure and honor, because there's not a lot of RIM students who get to have a RIM job as I did. Are we on camera? Oh, yes. Hello. How can I help you,
Dr. Apnea, this is Lucy and Frank Loudon. Lucy, if you wouldn't mind explaining Frank's situation to Dr. Apnea.
Well, it started, you know, when we were first married. We would sleep like regular people, and then he started to snore a bit, you know, just, you know, the regular snoring. And as the years went by, it started to becoming quite vocal, like, and I can't get any sleep, and it just goes on and on.
For us, we had everyone meet at my house, and pretty much we were just throwing out ideas, and we had Matt Meindl on the team, and he was the designated writer. So we were all sitting around the kitchen table just throwing out ideas, and all this time he was just sitting in the corner writing a script, pretty much. And
So none of the brainstorming really had anything to do with what he was writing?
pretty much.
He already knew what he was going to do.
It was absorbing.
2 hours later, or an hour and a half later, he just said, all right, this is what I have, and it's called Eyeball Forever. And we're like, oh God.
So let's talk about how much sleep did you get on the first night, just Friday night?
Friday night, I went to bed 1 a.m. Saturday morning, and my cat decided that was enough by 5 a.m. and put its paw right on my face. And so I had 4 hours of sleep for the entire weekend.
I got a pretty good night's sleep on Friday night.
Right.
I mean, up early, but that wasn't surprising.
We three writers were, I think, up until about 1. I think it was about 1 when I finally hit the bed. So we finished about 12:15, 12:30.
So let's talk about the shoot itself.
I was pretty confident in the shoot being pretty short. It still went a lot longer than I expected. So the first thing that went wrong was we were late, and then it started raining. And then we burned up the camera motor, and the frame counters were wrong on the magazine, so we were running out of film, and without knowing it. And developing was taking longer, so getting backed up on film. And we ended up getting into a pretty good groove, I think around 4, but we went pretty late. I think shooting didn't end until like 1 in the morning. And I didn't finish processing until around 6. When I wanted to be done processing pretty much at around 1 in the morning.
Right.
And it just, it was just a lot of things that went wrong. Around noon on Sunday is when I was sitting at my computer and realized, you know, I don't have enough footage to put together a coherent movie. Like, all right, I'm just going to have to call this, post on Facebook that I don't have enough to do anything. And I think it was Angie Palmer and Peggy Schaefer, who were on my team, were like, no, we need to do something. And they're like, I was just sitting at my computer and thinking, it's like, all right, well, call time 2 p.m. on Sunday. Started shooting on video at 2:30. Finished at 4:30. Gave Matt an hour and a half to edit.
Oh, wow.
I didn't realize this part about the.
And it was quite a mad dash at the end, and Shane Howard came in and helped with lighting, which really helped on the interior.
Hi. Can I help you?
Two adults for the eye thing.
Oh, do you have a bathroom?
I don't know.
The biggest challenge, we were trying to be a little bit more ambitious with different camera angles. You know, Mike was working with trying to kind of ramp up what we had done. The first one we had done were kind of set, not exactly static, but everything was right there. And this time we were trying different angles and in handheld kind of stuff, and that took us a little bit longer because sometimes we would have to rework or re-envision the scene, but we were still able to get our first cut locked down, by Saturday, late Saturday night, so that we could get all the music and post-production and all that.
I think where things maybe broke down a bit was in the workflow of who's taking the main shot here and who's taking the sort of the side shots, the shots that would be used for cutaways and stuff like that. And before you knew it, the guy who was supposed to stick on the master was over here in a close-up, and so
the other guy's in a close-up.
Exactly, yeah.
So you had two of the same shot as opposed to coverage.
Exactly. So, but that I think was the area where we could definitely have figured out the workflow. And refined it.
Let's talk about your editing process. What was that like for you?
We had some sync issues and
crashing computers at
Jay's
house.
Yeah, Jay's computer crashed, and we were worried that it was not going to get in on time.
And we would really try to lock in the timings, on the first on the first cut, so that we could give a finished, nearly finished version to our composers, so that they could, lay the music in, do the sound design and everything. So we really tried to get as much as we could done and locked down on Saturday night.
You see anything?
No, not yet.
Is your boy sure there's something here?
What was that?
I don't know. Maybe the fogger is dying out. I'll go check it.
Astrid?
Hey, you there?
What is that? Is that from the bomb?
No.
So let's talk about the turning in the tapes a little bit. What was that?
At my house, Matt burned it to a DVD, and everybody, fortunately, everybody hopped into their cars, and I was driven.
Thank you very much.
Thank God for you're falling asleep at the wheel. I'm glad.
Mr. Coffee and Detergent.
And got to the gateway with like 15 minutes left or 20 minutes left, and turned it in, and they check the videos to make sure they can read it, and for some reason our DVD didn't work. So fortunately, Matt edited on a laptop, so he had his laptop in his car in the parking garage, so we had him bring it in, and we tried burning it onto another DVD and it wouldn't work, so we scrounged for a memory stick, and Peggy Schaefer had one that a bunch of her important files were on.
Yes, I heard that story.
Oh, I didn't hear this.
So
good, yeah.
So she let us use it and turned that in, and that worked. So we got in with about 5 minutes left.
So what about you guys? Did you get in?
Nothing that dramatic. My goodness, Sam.
We handed in probably with about, I think it was a good 45 minutes at least to spare.
I'm shocked.
We were just starting to sweat bullets. You know, we had finished at Bartha, and then we were like waiting, render, and everybody knows that rendering, you know, always seems to be the longest part of the process. And so we got it, and we got it on a flash drive, and I was zipping through traffic, you know, to get there, you know, and we got there, and we were hustling up the stairs, and the guys, Max Grove from and the guys from Backwards Late were up there going like, "Oh, you're just under, you know, you're just late." You know, they were just, you know, ribbing us and everything, which was fun, because, you know, we were all rooting for one another to complete our movies. There's that feeling of, you know, once you get that feeling, we're done, we got it in. Whew.
So that leads into the screening itself.
At the screening was the first time I saw my movie, and it was, I knew that it was going to be really rough, because Matt mentioned that he might be hiding underneath his chair, but I was just glad that we were able to get it in on time, and because that's the main thing for me, is to get it in on time, and because that's really the constraints of the competition.
Right.
So what was your experience like seeing it on the big screen, seeing your movie on the big screen?
Well,
crazy.
Yeah, but you know what? What was so much fun about it was during the shooting of it, we had moments where we fell out laughing with the one scene, which is like the Tourette's kind of scene, where we knew there were funny parts in it that were really gonna, they just cracked us up.
Yes.
You know?
Right.
And so we were excited to see what the audience would take from that, if they would find it funny at all.
And that's how I felt. I wanted to know, are they going to laugh at the lines that we think are funny, that we put in for a laugh? Sometimes they fall like a thud, you know, and I was waiting. And that was the biggest thrill for me, is seeing it, first of all, in a theater, on the big screen, with all these people, a lot who I know and respect. And then we were trying to make people laugh. I mean, that was probably my biggest goal, is to make people laugh.
And how do you feel you did?
I think we
That
made
was
people
success.
laugh.
Just a ton of just fantastic moments. I love seeing what everybody else was doing, because we're all in the same boat. You know, at least for that one weekend, everybody's got the same goal. You know, that we're trying to make a movie in this fast and furious little bubble, and it's really cool for me to see what other people do.
My goal this year was to do something really crazy, and we did that. A lot of times you don't know what to expect from people, and sometimes teams that did so well the year prior try to do something and don't quite make it, and it allows the other teams to move up through the ranks and really shine and get some attention.
With a 48, only one team can be voted as best of the 48 for Columbus. And I think that the 48 is so much more than just winning that one prize. It's such a unifying experience for the filmmakers in the city, and so I think that the exciting thing about the 48 is to expand the number of teams and expand the people who are coming into it for the first time. And the only way you can do that really is to not just bunch together people who are best of the best all on one team, but start spreading that talent around and start bringing new people in. And then, because those new people, once they get onto a team, you see how it works. You work on a team 1 year, maybe the next year or 2 years down the line, you'll start your own team. And that's exactly the kind of thing that we want here in Columbus.
Yeah.
So we're a well-oiled machine, you know, and that's very, very, I consider myself very, very lucky to work with a lot of really talented people like that.
It was just this whole arc because I loved being around all these people. And I loved that whole collaborative spirit. And on Facebook, you know, a month before, whatever, everybody's talking about it and just like, what are you doing? And then everybody's so welcoming. Also, that's a big part of it too, that they made me feel like I could do it. So even if I, you know, couldn't do it, I felt like I could, and I wanted to be a part of something bigger than myself, you know. And so yeah, the whole experience was great. I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Well, it didn't take us 48 hours, but that wraps up another installment of Framelines.